Hello, and welcome to another episode with the Autistic Angler. Since my last video, I've been up here again with Steve, and he taught me some tricks, and not tricks, he taught me something about this trotting. So this is the free stretch from where I started. So I started at the lock, Compton Lock, and I'm fishing on the bridge. It's all free all along here, but as you can see, the footpath is very narrow, and we're just coming down to the bridge. There you go. Right. So there's the ground bait, and that's the Weetabix, and the only bread I could get today was the seeded one. So it's got a load of bits in it. But I thought, well, maybe they like it with the seeds. But as you'll see later, it doesn't go on the hook very well because it's got all these little bits in. But hey, it's working, so let's have a go. So I noticed that when I set up, I only need to put about 3 balls out, and then during the session, I think I only chucked out another 2. So I don't need to mix this much up because I had a load of it left at the end of the session. It's a little bit wet, but it will do. And I haven't got my waders on today. I've only got my boots on, and as you can see, there's loads of weeds and stuff there. And guess what? I knew I was going to forget something. I forgot my my net. Anyway, look, this is the new reel I've got. Oh, actually, it's not new. It's a vintage one, but it came in a job lot, and I got some £3. What was it? Maxima line on it. But I think that might be a bit too thin because it tangles up ever so quickly. But that's what Steve had on his reel. God, you should have seen his reel. It was sublime. Now the problem I've got with this reel today, you'll see later, it doesn't free run very well. But that's probably because it's a vintage reel. And look here, this rod. You'll see later. I don't like these sliding reel seats. And Steve said normally he puts some tape around them, and I'll do that when I'm happy with the right reel. But for today, we'll just carry on. Yeah, so I've got £3 line all the way through, but like I say, it seems to snag up very quickly, but not ever so quickly. So I spend too much of my time today sorting out mess and cutting it all up. I had a load of line at the end of the day, so I'm wondering, the first time I did it I had £12 line, and Steve said that's way too heavy. So there's the hooks, NGT hooks to nylon size 12. I like using these. The size 14, I've noticed too many fish were taking them all the way down. I haven't tried the size 10s yet, but this trail seems to work very well. Yeah, with regards to the line, I've got some 6-pound. I wonder if that will be slightly stiffer and not tangle up so much, because I really did. I spent more than half of my time today, loads more than half of my time, rebaiting, trying to untie knots, cutting it all off. I do show you one of the mess ups later. Right, so the floats. I bought some Avon floats, and this one is weighted by 5 treble A's. And as you see, I put one each side, so that pinches the float on the line, and then I put 2 others next to it, and one down the line near the hook. I think in future I might put a much smaller weight down by the hook, because maybe that contributed to some of the tangles I was getting. I also didn't have any rubber bands for the top of the hook, so I just threw some half hitches over the top of it. That sort of seemed to work, and there you go. Now, it said it was a 5 treble A, but when I throw it out in a minute on my first cast, it caught underneath the water, so there was no sign of it showing above the water. So you'll see in a minute, I take one of the shots off, and that seems to sort the problem out. Anyway, back to this line. So I don't know whether I might try the 6-pound. I haven't used up all my 3-pound yet, so I might have another go with a 3-pound, or I might just go to the 6-pound. I don't know yet, but I do want to have another go at this. Today's session was an awful lot better. Here you go. Here's one of the simple little things. I had to do that loads of times. The float was twisted round, and I don't know if that was because of the casting or whatever. I do find that when I'm in the moment, it works brilliantly. And, you know, if I'm throwing it out gently, I did have a session where for about half an hour, it was just absolutely beautiful. The birds were singing. Oh, by the way, I just did that without mentioning it. I've found what works best for me for casting. I take a double loop between 2 of my fingers, each side of that eye there, and pull it down. Pull it out as long as I can, and then it gives me some distance to cast out. It casts out, in this situation, far enough into the middle. One loop doesn't cast out far enough, and it also, I noticed, where I cast upstream a lot on a diagonal, think of your maths, that line is longer than straight across. When I later cast out straight across to miss that willow tree, it actually went most of the way over. So that double pull worked really well, with a bit of a drop as well, and I seemed to pick that up straight away. That was something else that Steve taught me. Now, what I'm doing here is, again, something he taught me. Because I was using the wrong float, I was using regular floats. It wasn't, let's call it a through-and-through float. He had float bands top and bottom of his, but then I obviously didn't. Now, there we go, see. Second cast, caught and lost a fish. So that's why I was using those half hitches. But having the line coming off the top of the float, what you can then do when you cast out and taking up your slack, you keep the line out of the water, so the line's going from the top of the rod straight down onto the float, and then you can control, you're in contact with the float straight away. So as soon as it dips, slight set up, and you can set the fish. And that's a real key thing, and this is what I'm doing here. I'm taking up the slack with my thumb, and then I go the other way to run it out. Because this doesn't freewheel this reel, I have to thumb it to let the line out. Not a big issue here, because I'm not doing a lot of long trotting, but it would be an issue if I was doing long trotting like I did with Steve's setup. It was, like I said, it was sublime. You could just let it, hold it onto the top of the float and it would run all the way down the swim. Whereas this one doesn't. But as you see, I catch plenty of fish because I've been chucking the bread ground bait out, all the trout are around. And yes, I have got that weight further down near the hook, ostensibly to pick up a grayling. But where I'm ground baiting with the bread, I've just attracted all the trout. But for the moment, and there you go, I'm trying to improve my handling skills as well. Now, I couldn't bend down to get the fish lower to the water to release it, because it's really slippy. And one of these days I'm going to go apex over whatever and go in the water. I know you lot would like to see that, but I want to avoid that if I can. So I am just trying to release them a lot more careful, but because I haven't got my net, mind you, in this situation the net wouldn't be any good because I wouldn't be able to get out beyond those weeds to get the fish. Right, what's going on here then? Just a bit more baiting up, I think. Probably catching more fish. I managed to catch quite a few fish today. None of any massive size. The biggest one was, strangely enough, it seems that wherever I fish, my biggest fish is always my last fish of the day. And I don't do that for the video, it just seems to happen that way. So that was a good cast. Oh no, it wasn't. First of a few forays into the trees, and did we get the float back on this one? The other day I had to wade out to get to the tree to get the float back, and it's ever so deep. And that's the other problem. Did you see how much I had to wind this reel in? Because it's only a 3-inch reel, I'm pretty certain this reel's too small, because I found that all day. I was winding like hell. There you go, I managed to get the float back. And it broke off just below the split shot. So I've tied on another length. Now, with regards to that, the length I'm fishing, it's the length that the hook to nylon is. I don't know how long it is, but I didn't adjust that at all. And I cocked the float just above the knot, the join. So, whatever that is, foot, 18 inches or something, that's what I used. And a couple of times it snagged on the bottom of the weeds, so I know it's running right down low enough. So yeah, look at the amount of times I'm having to wind in on this little reel. It really is, I think it's okay in this situation, because it did alright, but I lost a few fish doing that, lifting them out of the water. So I think in future I need to have my waders on and fish from the edge of the weeds there, so then I can either pick them up by hand or get the net in quite easily. I brought the net with me, I just left it in the car. Didn't think about it till halfway through the session. Good job I only had the small fish that I could lift out the water. And here we go, this is called batting. I'm started doing that without even thinking about it. When you haven't got a fish on to retrieve the line, rather than spending all that time winding like hell, you can just bat the reel, the spool, to bring the line in. So that worked quite well. On this swim, all I seem to need to do is just to cast upswim a little bit. Goes about a third of the way out into the water, and then it runs down. What's happened now? Oh, I'm in the bloody tree again. Now, I'm sorry to have to say this, but this one falls in the water and it floats away. Somebody will get themselves a nice float.
And I think you might be along here today. Hello, Martin.
Alright?
Yeah, probably don't remember me, Steve. Met you down
All right.
by Silence back in the summer.
Yeah.
How's your luck?
Yeah, I've got a couple of fish.
Yeah.
So I came all the way up from Portsmouth to Twyford or Shawford, and lo and behold, one of my subscribers found me. Trout.
Yeah.
So sorry I didn't speak to you much, Steve. That's what happens with my problem. When somebody surprises me, I go into a minor...
Yeah,
alright. I go into a minor spasm in my brain. It's... What's it called? It's called a seizure, that's right. I go into a minor seizure because my brain is processing so much about who's that, what's the matter, am I in danger, what's... And then I struggle to talk then. Now what am I doing there? No, I don't know why that little bit's in. Or maybe this is where I tangle up. Yeah, so as some of you have been kind enough to do in the past, if you approach me and I don't know you're coming, or you know my brain isn't expected to see you, could you say something, then give me a short time for my brain to catch up, please? Because bless him, Steve was ever so pleased to see me, but he had to carry on, and I felt afterwards that I'd been a bit rude to you, Steve, so many apologies for that. There's another fish. So like I say, when I get the process working, it seems to work okay. And it really is. It's a very subtle way of fishing. I'm not sure about that, and that's something I wouldn't have to do if I had a... Oh, I lost it. If I had a net. Oh, and what's happened here? Oh, it's all pinged up. And here we go. This is one of many of these sort of messes I had to sort out during the day. I put this one in just to show you that you might just see the fish coming in on this, but I was out there for 4 hours, and most of the 4 hours was spent untangling tangles and retying. It like I say, I sort of blame my ignorance in what I'm doing, and also the lightness of the line, because the lighter you go, the more easily it seemed to tangle up. So there's another one, and like I say, there's lots of this size with 1 or 2 bigger ones, but today I did manage to eke out a grayling, which was a surprise. Now you can't see it, but I took the video out, but a big deer came across the other side of the water today, caused some of the people walking past to stop and take pictures of it, and I was quite surprised to see it, because it looked bigger than a fallow. I mean, I've seen quite a few deer in my time, and it looked to me to be a red deer doe, but it surely can't be. Not up here. There can't be any wild red deer. There's only a couple. There's another one. There's only a couple of herds in the forest, so I don't know why this one was out there, but it looked too stocky for a fallow deer. I didn't take any footage of it because I was too busy trying to sort out and get myself smooth doing this trotting. I've got to say I was quite pleased with it at the end, because there we go, there's that double pull, got a bit of a drop, put it out there, and it can go out alright. You know, its limitations are where you're fishing, I think, but for where I'm fishing and for what I'm doing today, that works quite well. And you've probably noticed you can see the float going down as well, and you can see it dipping under. So I'm quite pleased that you're actually seeing the bites as well as me catching fish as well. That's something I don't like doing. Grabbing the rod halfway up to bring the fish in, and then did you notice the reel spinning as well? Now that wouldn't happen if I still had my thumb on the reel and I had a net there. So I either need to get myself a longer net or have my waders on so I can wade down closer to get the net to the fish, rather than having to grab the rod. It's a completely different style to fixed ball fishing. Needs a lot more finesse, but certainly quite enjoying it. And as you see, I'm managing to get a few fish, so I didn't count them again today. I don't know what it was, half a dozen, 8 or something like that. Great fun though, considering it's approaching winter. It wasn't that cold. I think the move is on the cards pretty soon, because I'm not getting as many bites up here or as fish as I was doing. I'm pretty certain I moved down to my another swim. Or was this another fish? That's the trouble, when you catch a fish you don't want to move. Yeah, it's another one. These living trout though, they don't have fight. I lost quite a few, jumped off the hooks. Oh, that was something I was going to say earlier on, but I didn't get down to. These NGT hooks and nylon are barbless hooks, so it's a lot better for the fish, and that's also why I'm losing a lot of them, because if you don't retrieve them properly, mind you, I think with the trout they throw their heads around so much and jump around so much, you're going to lose loads of them. But there we go, there's me thumbing the old reel to let the line out, and it worked. Then it managed to take the line out a lot further, so I managed to get beyond the little swing where I was getting the other fish. I think this one's a bit bigger. These are beautiful fish, these wild brown trout though. And before any of you start panicking about the season being closed and stuff, these Steve was telling me they're not caught as in they can't move or anything, but this stretch is pretty difficult to get the migrating trout in. They tend to go into the main river, which is away from us, but these little brownies are around all year. It's the ones that migrate down into the sea and come back, they're the ones we've got to watch out for this time of year, which is why it's not good to go clomping around in your waders, because the sea trout are coming up and spawning. But I'm not planning on doing this much more during the winter. It's just a case that I'm still learning the craft of trotting with a centrepin. So, here we go, here comes the move. Then we're going to go down to another swim, and this one is a lot more stony. You know, not so much weeds, and it's a better environment for the grayling. Not that I actually managed to catch any, but that's one of the reasons why I moved down. And look at the sun here. I was getting a bit cold up at the other place. So we chuck out, and I can't see anything around. I'm thinking, no, this doesn't look good. And then hello, what's happened there? Yeah, straight into a fish straight away. Now I wonder if these were getting some of the feed that I was throwing in, because I'm not a long way away from where I was, maybe 100 yards. And as you can see, it's a lot shallower. Shallower? It's a lot shallower here. Lot less trees, but I'm on the path. This time of the day, there wasn't so many people around. But if there was lots of people going up and down with their dogs, well, a couple of dogs tried to get to my bait. Whereas I like being the other side of the fence because the dogs couldn't get to the bait then. It is horses for courses, but what's this? We got another one? And I was thinking that this one might have been a grayling because it stayed low and it didn't bounce around so much until I got it out. And then there you go, it's just another trout. Beautiful fish, like I say, and this is just, it's something I just can't get enough of for the moment. Fishing for these fish in the chalk streams. Oh, there you go, you can see that one swimming away, that's fantastic. Now, something we've got coming up is something I was telling you to watch out for earlier. You remember I was telling you about the wheel seat that is not a screw seat and it's just a push one? Well, you'll see. What do you think is going to happen? Or have I spoiled it already? And there's another fish. I only threw one ball of ground bait out here. That one was very acrobatic. I only threw the one ball of ground bait out here, not the three, so I wonder if some of the feeds were coming down from further upstream. And like I say, I made way too much ground bait. I threw it all in the swim eventually, but I think next time I'll make a lot less. It's a nice size one. A bit bigger than the tittlers I was getting up the other end, but it's very slippy here and I'm on a bit of a slope. I slipped a couple of times and I thought I was going in. Baiting up again. And like I say, I think I'll use white bread next time. Here we go, this lady speaks to me. You wait and listen for the plot. What do you think that was? Just coming into view down there by the bank is my reel.
Okay, well I wasn't expecting that to happen.
And now something that upset me for the rest of the day, I go and kneel on some nettles and I put my hand on some nettles. And I got stung all the way up my arm. And pretty obviously, I managed to get the reel back, managed to put it all on alright, but where I laid down, I got a load of mud over the
what mess
GoPro.
have I got myself into now?
But in the middle of all that, I had a massive tangle to sort out. The float had floated away downstream, and guess what? Here comes the biggest fish of the day. At least I think this is the biggest fish of the day. Pretty certain it is. But do you know what?
Good God,
I love how
I've got a fish
surprised I get over these videos. Over this fishing, sorry, not over these videos. It's just great. Love my fishing.
Have I?
So, yeah, he is. He's a much bigger one.
Yes, I blew well have.
But guess what? Poor thing's got a blooming taking it deep, hasn't he? So, something I've not had to do for a long time is use one of these disgorgers. But thankfully, managed to release him.
Yeah, keep still.
And get him back. But like I say, back in the 70s since I last used one of these. I might have actually used one on small fish fishing, but you're taking it quite deep, so There we go. Don't slip, Martin. And off he goes. And away he goes. Right, so I hope that was all quite interesting. And so, from me then, that's me done.